Okay, we're going to get started in just 4 more minutes. So everyone who is congregating in the back, please find your seats. We'll get started in just 4 minutes. works great with adults too, not just middle schoolers. Awesome. Okay. Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the JKG B Mitzvah ceremony. I love a participatory audience. I can't wait to hear even more of that clapping for these amazing students. I cannot believe this day is finally here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sydney Popsy, and I am the B Mitzvah director here at Jewish Kids Groups. And like many of you, I have spent the past year waiting for today with gleeful anticipation. In Jewish tradition, a person becomes a B Mitzvah, or a child of the commandments, capable of making mature and adult decisions the day they turn 13. This is a right of all of us. However, to mark this transition in a ceremony with one's kahila, or community, is a privilege that can be celebrated at any point. Today, we have the privilege of doing just that with our amazing cohort of Talmidim, who you see here, our students. Each and every B Mitzvah on this stage deserves all of the fanfare and joy we can give them as they complete their transition into Jewish adulthood. So let's clap one more time, because yeah. This is a big moment. So given that this is a big moment, and that we are here as a kahila, as the first day our students make their transition into Jewish adulthood and the next cohort of Jewish adults, I think we should start by marking with the Shehechianu, which is a prayer of firsts in Judaism. I will quickly lead us in this prayer, and you can follow along in Hebrew, both like regular and transliterated, or in English as you feel comfortable in the programs. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higimanu, lazman hazeh. Amen. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining us in marking this significant first in the lives of our Talmidim. Over the last 2 years at JKG, each B Mitzvah has gone above and beyond in developing their own unique Jewish identity. As you look at the posters in our foyer, you can see that they have prepared for Jewish adulthood through community service, the study of Jewish history, text, values, and customs, and through their own comprehensive projects called the Personal Interest Projects, which you can see around the other parts of our amazing space here. We will also get a chance to learn more about these projects after our ceremony has been completed through these beautiful posters and presentations that you see around the venue. Now, though, let's get on to the important things, hearing about this process from our amazing students. Today, I will call each B Mitzvah up to the bima, or podium, to share more about these experiences with you, as well as their project. After this, I will call up families to participate in a bracha, or blessing of their child. Once this is completed, we will perform Havdalah, a blessing of transition to mark each B Mitzvah's transitioning from childhood to adulthood in the eyes of this beautiful kahila. So let's start strong with Maddie Cohen, with Joyce and Steve, Cohen Wiener, with Joyce and Steve giving the blessing.
Hi, my name is Maddie, and for my personal interest project, I researched how soccer can connect Jewish with the Arabic community. When researching for my idea for my project, I knew I had to do something with soccer. My biggest struggle was figuring out how soccer could be connected through Judaism. Once I finally got my idea, it was relatively easy after that. I was surprised to learn how many great organizations there were out there that organize soccer games for Jewish, Arab, and Palestinian kids. Out of the many options, I decided to focus on the Perez Center for Peace and Innovation. Located in Israel, the Perez Center was founded by the 9th President of Israel, Shimon Peres. The center showcases the story of Israel and the diverse fields and people of Israeli innovation. The Perez Center has many projects and programs, not just in sports, but also in leadership, healthcare, and business. When I visited Israel in the summer of 2023, I actually got the chance to visit the Perez Center. This really influenced my project because I would have never heard of their soccer program without being there. During my research, one of the most important things I found was that soccer can be extremely important for not just your physical health, but your mental health. Friendships you make on the field often come way off the field too. Because of the teamwork and sportsmanship in the game, soccer can break tensions. Soccer is more than just a sport, it builds communities. With all the tension in the Middle East, the Perez Center's work is extremely important. For the engagement part of my project, I raised money for the Perez Center by doing a bake sale. I created baked goods, for example, babka, to sell to people. I was able to raise $500 to donate. Completing my project was challenging but rewarding. Throughout the way, I was able to learn more about myself and my passion for soccer. Having my project related to soccer was extremely important for me to become a Jewish adult. I want to continue to be interested in soccer throughout my adult life. Soccer has helped me find my Jewish identity. On a different note, I'd like to thank some of the people who helped me along the way. I'd like to start off by thanking all my counselors at JKG. Whenever I hit a bump along the way, they were always extremely helpful and made sure I fixed the problem. I also want to thank Harper and CK for making JKG more fun and helping me with my project. Finally, I'd like to thank my parents. If it weren't for their pressure to make me keep going, I'm not sure if I would have finished in time. In addition, they helped me bake everything for the bake sale, which was hours of work. Oh, and Sage, because she really wants a shout out. Thank you to all my friends and family for coming, and enjoy the rest of the ceremony.
Maddie, you took us by surprise in winter 2023 when you told us you wanted to have a bat mitzvah. We were thrilled by your decision and the thoughtful conviction behind wanting to restart JKG and connect with your Jewish culture. No doubt, influenced by our trip to Israel in summer 2023 and the start of the war that followed. Choosing to deepen your connection to Judaism during a challenging time for the Jewish people makes your journey even more meaningful. We were happy to support this decision and watch with pride as you put in the work to complete the JKG program. Maddie, may you continue to honor your Jewish heritage and pass down the culture and traditions to future generations. May the opportunities you've had to travel around the world give you a global perspective. May you use these experiences to help try and make the world a better place. May your passion for soccer continue to inspire you, not just on the field, but in the way you use the game to bring people together, as you did in your JKG project. May your deep love of animals infuse your life with compassion and guide you to make a difference in the world, helping protect animals, support conservation, and preserve nature around you. May your self-confidence empower you to chase your dreams and find your path in life. May your wisdom and wit serve you well to navigate life's challenges and accomplish your goals. Maddie, may you keep surprising us as you grow into the intelligent, passionate, and caring young woman we know you're becoming. We love you.
Oh, thanks. That was embarrassing how nerdy it sounded.
Okay, next up we have Charlotte Golubach with Andrew and Martha giving their blessing. Woo!
Hello, everybody. My name is Charlotte Golubach, and I researched interfaith identity for my personal interest project. I decided to do this topic because I'm an interfaith teen. This is important to me because as an interfaith teen, I often handle the challenges of balancing multiple religious identities. Sometimes I feel like I have to hide parts of my identity around certain family members, and that is a challenge I face often. I have many experiences, but I wanted to understand how other teens in similar situations manage their faiths. Throughout history, interfaith families haven't always been accepted, and this can be especially hard for teens and kids who are part of these families. According to a 2013 Pew Research Center study, around 39% of Americans in interfaith marriages and many of their children often feel torn between two different religions, each with its own beliefs and traditions. In fact, in 2014, a study found that 68% of children from interfaith families report feeling conflicted about their religious identity. Many of them also face pressure to pick one religion, which can be confusing and stressful. I interviewed 5 interfaith teens of different age groups. What I learned is that identity isn't always something people can feel right away. It can grow and change over time. Just because someone is given an identity doesn't mean it automatically feels like theirs. People need the space and freedom to figure out what parts of themselves they need to connect with most. The way families share or don't share traditions has also had a big impact on which identities feel more real or important to someone. If someone isn't exposed to part of who they are, it can feel distant or even unimportant. But when someone gets to explore or be part of a community, that connection can grow stronger. These interviews help me see that identity is personal and it's okay for it to look different for everyone. My identity holds deep personal meaning for me. When I listen to other people's experiences, I realize that my journey through complex identity is shared by many others. Knowing that other teens go through the same struggles makes me feel connected and validated. For my physical part of my project, I painted a girl looking into an old cracked vanity mirror. She's holding a rosary to show my Christian side, and in the reflection, she wears a Star of David to show my connection to Judaism. The painting shows my curiosity and how I'm learning more about who I am. I don't want to push one part of me away. I want to embrace both. It's a way of taking in all the different parts of my identity that make me who I am. This project became more than just research. It turned into a reflection of my own identity and experiences. Talking to other interfaith teens helped me understand that I'm not alone in feeling unsure about how to balance different parts of who I am. Their stories gave me a sense of connection. My painting shows this journey with both my Christian and Jewish identities represented equally, because I don't want to choose just one. Growing up as an interfaith teen can be challenging, but it also shaped me in a meaningful way. Throughout my research and personal reflection, I've also thought about the idea of lech lecha, which means go for yourself in the Torah. It's about going on a journey to discover who you really are, just like Abraham did. The idea connects to my own journey of figuring out my interfaith identity. I'm learning to understand and accept the different parts of who I am, even though it's not always easy. It helps me to grow and become the person I want to be. I would like to thank my dad, my mom, all my moras, and Sydney for supporting me throughout my entire project and shaping me into the woman I am today. I'm truly grateful for all the love, acceptance, and encouragement along the way. Thank you.
Charlotte, today as you stand before your community and take your place as a Jewish adult, we're filled with love, pride, and deep admiration for the person you are. You are thoughtful, artistic, fiercely determined, and full of strength. We've watched you grow into someone who doesn't always speak the loudest, but who feels deeply and acts with purpose. Whether you're riding horses with focus or spending hours perfecting a drawing, you approach the things you love with care and passion. You don't always let your emotions show, but we see how much you care about your family, about fairness, about understanding the world and your place in it. You're navigating the complexity of being raised in two faiths with insight well beyond your years. And in doing so, you're forging your own path that is entirely your own. Here's our blessing to you.
May your passion for art always be great, always be a great joy, and a way to express the words that you can.
May your interfaith identity become your superpower, giving you the strength to educate and bring others together.
May you continue to voice your feelings of acceptance towards others, guided by empathy and compassion.
May your sense of justice grow louder as you speak up for what's right.
May your competitive spirit and quiet determination continue to drive you.
May you never forget that you're blazing your own trail and never in anyone's shadow.
May your sense of humor always keep you grounded.
May you grow more confident in who you are and continue to believe in your voice.
May you hold your positive outlook to the May you hold your positive outlook on the
May you hold on to your positive outlook on life even when the road is uncertain. We love you endlessly. We are proud beyond measure. We are honored to walk beside you as you step into this new chapter. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Okay, next up we have Ori Good with Yael and Ed giving their blessing.
Hi, my name is Ori Good, and my project is on Jews in the Westward Expansion. The reason I picked it was because my favorite video game is Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a game about a gang of Robin Hood-like criminals who traveled across the West. I became interested in the westward expansion and further became curious if there are any Jews that may have participated or been influential. This might sound trivial, but when I realized there were no Jewish characters in the game, that got me thinking about Jews in the West. I was shocked by how little Jews were represented in popular media and how, despite their presence in the West being large, it was brushed off as insignificant. Jews still contributed greatly to history. I also found that Jews were crucial to Westward American expansion because, among other things, they created bridges, they created products, bridged gaps, and achieved greatness. I chose to focus on 3 examples of Jews who displayed these traits. The people that I chose to talk about are Levi Strauss, Solomon Bibo, and Josephine Earp. My project is a short documentary focusing on these figures. Working on my project has been fun. I enjoy the video making process, finding it fairly easy for me to make my short film. In my research, I discovered some fascinating photographs from the 1800s and early 1900s depicting Western day-to-day life. It has been incredibly gratifying to research and learn new things about my project. One of the most important findings from my research is the invention of something we all know and use today. Did you know that Levi's jeans you wear every day were first invented by a Jewish man in the West? Similarly, another thing I learned in my research was of Solomon Bibo, who was the Jewish chief of an indigenous tribe. This was particularly surprising because it was an unexpected role for a Jew to have in society. Finally, Josephine Earp was the wife of Wyatt Earp, an infamous gunfighter and lawman. She was arguably the one who made him famous. This project has caused a revelation that my world was impacted by Jews in more ways than I thought before I started researching. I learned that jeans were invented by a Jew, which surprised me because I wear them so often, but I didn't know who invented them. I also learned that there was a Jewish chieftain of an Indian tribe, something you would not expect a Jew to do. But my most shocking revelation was the famous gunfighter Wyatt Earp had a Jewish wife who played a big part in his modern-day fame. This famous figure's connection to Judaism is often hidden, along with the fact he was buried in a Jewish cemetery. It was shocking to me that Wyatt Earp's connection to Judaism are so hidden and rarely talked about. I would like to thank my parents and my teachers at JKG, especially Sydney, my extended family, and finally, Henry, Gavin, Trevin, and Ezra for supporting me.
Ori, 14 years ago, when your Ima and I learned that you were joining us in this world to make us a family, we were living in Tel Aviv and we celebrated in Hebrew. When you were born, we were living in Atlanta and we celebrated in English.
Your name, Ori, means my light in Hebrew. In the Bible, God's first spoken words are, Vayehi Or, let there be light. Ori is also the root of the term Orient, the East, from which your Korean Halmini came.
Israel and the United States, Hebrew and English, the Bible, and 2 kinds of East, the Middle East and East Asia. You are at the dynamic nexus of so much heritage, history, and culture. You are the brilliant expression of so much sacrifice, resilience, and hope.
When we told your Saba Laser before he passed away that his grandson's name would be Ori, he blessed us, saying, "May Ori bring you light for all the days of your lives." And you have.
You have filled our lives with love, with laughter, and with learning, and we cherish every hour we spend with you. You are passionately curious about the world, constantly finding new fields of interest, from trucks and dinosaurs to birding and vexillology, maps, geopolitics, and history.
You are witty with a dark sense of humor, and you always appreciate a good prank. You are also adventurous and love to socialize, which is remarkable considering your Ima usually prefers to read a good book in bed at home.
You are independent and assertive with a strong sense of your own reality, but you are also kind and thoughtful with your family, your friends, and the new people in your life whom you enjoy meeting.
Ori, our blessing to you, our light, is that you may always know in the deepest depths of your heart how fully you are loved and how lovable you are.
May you have the courage to surround yourself with people who see and celebrate you for who you are and who you want to become. And may you respect and value them for who they are and who they want to become.
We,
your Abba and Ima, will strive to be a light to you in every language, in every place in the world, no matter what. May your parents, your family, your friends, and your identity as a Jewish adult always be a blessing to you.
Okay, next up, we're going to have Josie Handler with Adam and Jennifer giving their blessing.
Hi, my name is Josie, and today I become a Bat Mitzvah, or the child of the commandments. For my personal interest project, I decided to focus on how and why the Jews continuously helped animals throughout history. Days, weeks, and months have gone by just to answer this question alone. Now I finally know the answer: Rahamim, or compassion. Rahamim is also what I have felt for women and pets throughout this time, especially the families that the Purple Leash Project has and will continue to help. I have always loved animals. Of course, I made them my topic. In Judaism, we follow the value Za'ar Ba'alei Hayim, or the care and kindness to all living things. Starting from God's choice to spare animals in the flood, we establish animals as equally important to humans. Further, our ancestors through Torah created numerous laws to ensure that animals do not suffer. But I wanted to also learn more about compassion as it relates to people. Every year, nearly 10 million women and men become victims of domestic violence. But what was the connection between these two topics? I had originally found the Purple Leash Project through my parents. They introduced it to me and I was like, bingo! The Purple Leash Project, in brief, is a charity that raises money for women to safely escape their abusive homes without having to leave their pets behind. In most shelters, women have to make the hard choice of either risking their safety or abandoning their pets. For this project, I sold pipe cleaner animals and beds in sets. I decided to sell these at Oakers Market over a weekend. In result, for a goal of $250, I raised a whopping $360 of donations, and every last dollar was donated to the charity. I have learned so much from this project, definitely the most in history. While reading loads of Torah verses and Jewish history sites, I have learned so much about my Jewish identity. Well, first of all, I'm definitely not a morning person, but I've also realized how interesting Judaism is to some people. Maybe for some, it's just a silly reason to wake up at 9 a.m. every Sunday, but some see it as so much more than just a religion, a community, a school, a place of peace, or even a legacy. I can proudly leave JKG with the knowledge that I now carry a legacy. Speaking of legacies, I have to thank my parents for engaging me in theirs. I'm so glad and excited to be in this room right now having my very own Bat Mitzvah. It feels so weird just to say, just looking back on how many times I imagined this day in my head. Anyways, thank you, Mom and Dad, for putting in all the work to make this day happen. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here right now. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you guys. Thank you also to my Mima and Papa, cousins, and aunts and uncles for being able to make it here today. And also my grandma and grandpa, who I wish were here, and I will forever keep them in my heart. Finally, I greatly appreciate all of my moras, whom I would probably only have one sentence for my speech. I'm just kidding. You guys have done so much for me, and I'm so appreciative. I'll miss you guys so much. Thank you.
Josie, I think you were maybe 4 when you started to talk back to me and your mom. I thought it was cute, then annoying, and over the years, occasionally right on the edge of disrespectful. But I see now that you've been willing to stand up for yourself, and I've been proud when I've seen you stand up for your friends. Don't lose that willingness to question authority. Respectfully, please. your advocacy for animals to have a loving home, for your school administrators to apply discipline that is proportionate and targeted, for your friends to treat each other with kindness, may just be the mark you leave on this world.
It's been a thrill to watch you grow, learn, and find your voice. Keep using it for good. Keep pushing us all to do better. Remember that perfection is the direction, but not the destination. Remember the words in the Pirkei Avot, you are not required to complete the work, nor are you permitted to desist from it. We love you, Jojo, and we couldn't be prouder of you today.
After that one. Okay. I had to break somewhere. Okay, next up we have Beatrice Parzival with Celia and Cyrus giving their blessing. Woo!
Hi, my name is Beatrice Parzival, and my PIP, or Personal Interest Project, is to be able to share Jewish desserts with everyone, regardless of their dietary restrictions. Specifically, my focus is to make Jewish recipes more accessible to those who may have dietary restrictions and will not be able to eat them otherwise. Over the past 2 years, there have been several Sundays where we have had the privilege of visiting with the seniors at the Bremen home. I have really enjoyed the time we spent with the residents there. The Bremen home inspired me when I was deciding my PIP because it made me wonder what it would feel like to be unable to enjoy traditional foods that connect us to our culture and community strictly due to their dietary restrictions. This made me think about how I can help and how I can make those treats more accessible for those seniors in my community. For as long as I can remember, I've always loved to bake. When I share my baked goods around my community, it makes me feel like I'm connected to people. It also makes me happy knowing I brightened someone's day. When I started brainstorming ideas for my PIP, I was sure I wanted to find a way to incorporate the joy I felt when visiting the seniors at the Bremen home with my love of baking into a mitzvah or a good deed. My research centered on kashrut laws and how dietary restrictions can prevent people from following them. For those of you who are not aware of what it means to cook or bake with kosher ingredients in a kosher kitchen, please allow me to explain. Baking with kosher ingredients means that I was only able to use ingredients that adhere to specific Jewish dietary laws. Those laws include avoiding pork, shellfish, and other specific animal products, in addition to making sure that meat and dairy are never mixed. This was really interesting to learn In addition to making sure that meat and dairy are never mixed. It was really interesting to learn when you cook in a kosher kitchen, the food must become kosher too, so that people who keep kosher can eat it. When I was able to learn a lot about how I can keep food kosher but also make it more accessible by modifying the ingredients in order to accommodate someone's dietary restrictions while maintaining deliciousness. As I began my research, I discovered how to modify traditional Jewish desserts to accommodate various dietary needs. In particular, those common amongst seniors such as diabetes, gluten intolerance, and vegan diets. When modifying these recipes, I first needed to consider the needs of a person I was baking for and substitute ingredients accordingly. For example, if I were making cookies for someone who is gluten-free, I would substitute regular flour with flour alternatives such as almond flour. For someone with diabetes, I might replace sugar with honey or other natural sweetener that would not cause dangerous spikes in blood sugar levels. I wanted to be mindful of these types of diets as I was creating and baking these recipes so that everyone can enjoy them. Working on this project has been super rewarding, and I love that through this project I learned much more about myself. I came to know more about my passion for baking for others while expanding my skills in the kitchen. Similarly, I become more mindful of others and dietary requirements by learning how to accommodate recipes that everyone can enjoy. Last but definitely not least, I would like to thank my mom, my dad, Sydney, and Maddie. I just want to say, with this project, whether it's helping me write my speech or making my poster or just cheering me on, they have been the best. Your support over this past year has really meant a lot to me, and I appreciate everything you've done. I couldn't have done it without you.
Now, Beatrice, I meant to actually bring a new chore list up here since you are now a young adult, but we'll talk about that and once we get home. Beatrice, when we think about you, Mom and I think about your kind heart. We think about your inquisitive and observant mind as a younger child, always watching all and taking it all in and processing everything. I just remember as a baby even, you were always watching, always listening. As you continue to grow into this lovely young woman, I wish you will never forget your compassion for people and animals and everything that you do. We wish for you to continue to help and care for and about others, as this world will need people like you to lead by example, to care for each other, and to listen to each other. And we hope you will always continue to follow the words we used to repeat on our way to preschool every day. We are Parsifals. We are motivated, determined. We will never give up. We are passionate about what we do, and we will persevere through our challenges. You are an amazing girl, a young woman. Beatrice, continue to push yourself to learn and to grow. You can accomplish absolutely anything your heart desires.
Beatrice, you already know how much I love you, how much I adore you, and how proud of you we are. Dad, myself, your sister, our entire family, your friends that are here today, even the ones looking down from above. But I would like to quote the great Fred Rogers and say, "You've made this a special day just by being you. There's no person in the whole world like you. And I like you just the way you are. May you always carry with you the power of compassion, love, and kindness, as they are keys to a meaningful life. May your incredible sense of humor continue to bring smiles and light wherever you go. And may you dream boldly and embrace the infinite possibilities that life offers. Remember, these dreams are yours to claim with hard work and Parsifal's perseverance. I have endless love for you, as your father does. Mazel tov."
Okay, next up we have Gavin Smith with Amy and Greg giving their blessing. Woo!
Hi, my name is Gavin. Becoming a B Mitzvah means multiple things to me. First, I'm becoming a young Jewish adult. Second, I believe it means that I'm maturing further as I grow. For my project, I researched how family traditions revolving around food are passed down over time. I did this because of my interest in both cooking and eating food. My passion for cooking comes from my dad and his skills which he taught me, like cooking meat and eggs. I really like to try new foods and be creative with flavors. When we've cooked at JKG, I'm often the first person willing to try something new. So of course, when I chose a topic to research, I knew food needed to be part of it. From this project, I explored how classic Jewish recipes get passed down because of tradition, family heritage, and popularity. Basically, how do we end up with such a diversity of food in the diaspora while maintaining the common threads? And how do we use food as a way to keep our culture alive? Also, this topic relates to Judaism because most Jewish holidays revolve around food and how food represents our past. I learned many important things, including how and why family traditions are passed down and how they change over time. They are passed down orally, through written notes, or through memory. If they are passed down through memory, they might slightly change over time. Additionally, traditions can be passed down as a way to preserve culture. My first part of the project was to look at cookbooks, specifically focused on this very concept. I became interested in how recipes survived refugee crises and even the Holocaust. I found the recipes are just as important as the stories of those who found ways to bring them through struggle. I also decided food is a big part of companionship. This is why I decided I not only wanted to make food to share with others, but I also wanted to interview my community to help preserve what Jewish food looks like. I chose to visit the Bremen Home, a nursing home in Atlanta, to both share food and learn more about the role food played in the lives of the residents. When I cooked for the residents, I chose to make Mizrahi lentil soup. I chose this recipe because of its very interesting backstory. A family is split up into two sides, one each in Tel Aviv and one in Alexandria, Egypt. The two sides would visit every year and the lentil soup was a staple from the Tel Aviv side. By making this recipe at the Bremen Home, I was able to preserve its legacy. This type of story could also be seen in my interviews. That's because one of my interviewees talked about how a recipe from her brother's girlfriend became a recipe that she brought to all family gatherings and meeting the other side of the family. We keep memories and legacies alive even just by what we choose to cook. The most important thing I learned about myself during this is how much I like talking to people about how food affected their lives. I like it because it allowed me to develop a deeper understanding of food in people's lives and how it can affect them. I learned lots about food, like how it's made and why it's valued inside of families regarding traditions and holidays, but particularly about how Jews in the diaspora moved and survived through the recipes I chose to study. Today I want to thank my parents for being there and helping me with my project, and same for Sydney and Maddie. I also want to thank my grandparents for loving me, and my friends Andrew, Josh, Jake, and Charles for just existing.
Gavin, you have grown into an incredible young man, and we are so proud of you for dedicating yourself these past 2 years and becoming a bar mitzvah. As you enter Jewish adulthood, here is what we wish for you.
May you continue to always ask and learn and seek out new things.
May you always remember the lessons that you learned through JKG, to embrace what being Jewish means to you, to delight in a heritage that spans the globe, to center honoring and giving back to your community and the ideas of Tikkun Olam, and to find joy and fun throughout.
May you always remember what makes you so incredible. Your sense of self, your humor, your dry wit, your curiosity and willingness to explore hidden paths and try new things, your focus and determination, and your tremendous compassion.
May you use all these traits to reach your goals, from skilled chef to airline pilot, and to help you make the world a better place for all. Finally, may you always remember that you are deeply loved by your friends and family, from your family of origin to your chicken family to the chosen family that you'll create over the years. Gavin, we love you and cannot wait to see the amazing things you will do.
Okay, next up we have Aleia Steigerwalt with Jill giving the blessing. Woo!
Hi, my name is Aleia Steigerwalt, and for my project, I looked into symbolism and patterns on hollow covers. Or you could say I unraveled the symbolism of hollow covers. Most Jewish families have a hollow cover to use on Shabbat, and without them, Shabbat isn't the same. Your hollow cover might have been made by your child when they were young, or might be made from the fabric of your grandmother's wedding dress. But no matter what, it's special to your Shabbat. As part of my project, I went to the Bremen Home, which is a senior center for Jewish adults, to make hollow covers with the seniors. We mostly colored. I made 10 different patterns with different symbols, like Hamza, Star of David, and High, and asked the seniors what those symbols meant to them. I learned about what Hamza meant to one of the residents and how it brought her peace through illness. I met another person who, though wasn't Jewish, High helped symbolize her friendship. While learning about how the symbolism represents the seniors, I took a journey of my own. Before this project, I never celebrated Shabbat. So with this project, I learned the meaning in celebrating Shabbat. I tried finding what Jewish symbolisms could represent me in my life. I thought of the Star of David was important since it represented major values in my life, such as loyalty and religion. Please stop by my stable to take part in creating a hollow cover that represents the community. I have pieces of fabric that you can help design to create a quilted hollow cover made by all of us. Thank you to everybody who supported me in this project, including my mom, my grandparents, the seniors at the Bremen Home who participated, and my JKG teachers.
If I printed it, she would know what it said. Allie, my blessing for you is that you always seek out adventure in the great wide somewhere, that you are not afraid to chase the wind and touch the sky. My blessing for you is that you confront challenge head on and always just keep swimming. That you are met with when you are met with an obstacle, you always get up and see what's next. That you remember if you focus on what you left behind, you will never be able to see what lies ahead. That you always confront people that you don't agree with. And remember, ladies don't start fights, but they can finish them. My blessing for you is that you always remember you are braver than you believe and stronger than you seem and smarter than you think. That you never let anyone make you ashamed to be you. The things that make you different are the things that make you, you. As you continue on your journey through life, you may hear a voice inside, and if the voice starts to whisper, to follow the farthest star, Allie, that voice inside, is who you are. I love you, and I'm proud of you.
Okay, next up we have Henry Talbot with Julie and Max giving their blessing. Woo!
Good morning. My name is Henry, and for my PIP, I explored sibling relationships in the Torah. This topic felt meaningful to me because of how important my sibling, Max, is to me. As I reviewed the sibling relationships in the Torah, I noticed that many are based on conflict, often from a rivalry. Whether it's over a birthright, a parent's affection, or another form of recognition, siblings in the Torah are frequently portrayed as being in competition. Jacob and Esau, for example, who are twin sons of Isaac and Rebekah, are very different from each other. They fought over their father's affection and birthright. The tension between them lasted for years and created a deep divide before they were eventually able to reconcile. Max and I don't have these same tensions. While we are different, we share some of the same interests, and we try to be generous with each other, sharing space on the couch, our video games, or even the last brownie. I also think that we both get enough affection from our family. I think choosing generosity over competition helps us stay connected and avoid unnecessary conflict. Another sibling example from the Torah is Joseph and his brothers. Joseph was the favorite child, and his brothers' jealousy led them to sell Joseph into slavery in Egypt. Years later, after testing them and seeing them repent in chains, Joseph only forgave them, and the act of forgiveness is powerful. Even when relationships are strained, reconciliation is possible. Max and I have certainly had our share of fights, but we've been able to work through them. Moses, Aaron, and Miriam show us a different sibling model. They work together, leading the Israelites, performing miracles, and helping each other through crises. The relationship isn't perfect, but it shows how siblings can support each other when they have shared goals and respect. This feels familiar since Max and I have been through a lot together, and we have learned from each other and leaned on each other. I have also learned from my mom and from my grandparents what it means to love someone with all my heart, and this is how I love Max. In real life, sibling relationships can take many forms and often change over time. I'm grateful to have a good relationship with Max and a reliable playmate at home. Having a strong bond is meaningful, and I think it's a reminder of what we can develop if siblings choose kindness, generosity, and love. I want to thank my mom for all her love and support, Max for being the center of my project and the center of the universe, my grandparents for always listening and being there for me, my Aunt Sarah for her generosity in traveling to be here, my friends for joining me today, and all of you for listening to my speech.
Hello, I am the center of the universe, Max. Okay. Henry, you are a great brother. You never cease to amaze me, and I can't believe you're already taller than me. It's not just your height that stuns me, though. Your ability to approach everything so calmly is amazing. No matter if you're solving an extremely difficult math problem, navigating hard social situations, listening to me gossip about boys, or doing my homework, you always seem to come up with a calm, reasonable solution. I've always thought you'd stay small and young, ready to play whatever farm game I wanted. But now, we play Fortnite. And I'm standing at your bar mitzvah, giving you my blessing. You will always be my little brother, and no matter how old or tall you get, or how violent the games you play are, I know you will continue to make me proud and amaze me for the rest of our lives. I love you very much.
Henry, there are a few experiences that provide insight to who you are. At just 4 weeks old, you stayed with me in the hospital. You were so calm that the nurses thought you were a doll. By pre-K, your leadership had convinced your teachers you would be a mayor one day, and they were placing bets. You perpetually saved your allowance and candy to share with Max, and you were an inaugural winner of the Kindness Award in middle school, and later the Award for Fairness and Justice. From the beginning, you've carried wisdom that feels well beyond your years. You're calm, strong, generous, and deeply caring. You lead by example, and I admire the way you move through the world with quiet confidence and a strong sense of what is right. You chose to become bar mitzvah, not because you had to, but because it mattered to you. That choice and the way you've embraced your Jewish identity makes me incredibly proud. You know yourself, trust your instincts, and listen to your own rhythm. You don't waste time worrying about what others think. And that freedom lets you be exactly who you are. Kind, loyal, sensitive, thoughtful, true, and importantly, funny. I'm especially proud of your loyalty to Max and how you show up for the people you care about and how you know your own boundaries and honor them with quiet strength. That kind of clarity is a rare gift. My hope for you is that you keep embracing every part of who you are and keep sharing your tenderness, generosity, humor, and kindness with the world. Jewish tradition teaches us to pursue justice, to love fiercely, and to repair what is broken. And I see those values alive in you. May you continue to live with meaning, joy, and love, and the courage to always walk your own path.
Okay, there we go. Next, we have Quinn Werner with Matt and Claire giving their blessing. Woo-hoo!
Hello, my name is Quinn Werner, and for my PIP project, I chose to research about Jewish influence on New York City deli culture. I researched this topic because of my dad's side of the family. While growing up, my family used to talk about many delis they visited in New York, which inspired me to pick this topic. During these past few months, I've expanded my knowledge about the Jewish culture, New York, delis, and most importantly, my family and their history. Even though the central part of this project was about our research and journey through our topic, there was another crucial part, my service project, where we performed an act of service in our community. For my service project, I was an usher for a Hanukkah party held by the Shalom Club in my grandma's neighborhood country club. I came to my grandma's country club early to help the seniors set up for the party. I helped set the tables, bring guests to their seats, fill up water and wine cups, and help serve beverages. The party was enjoyable, and I had a fantastic time eating the delicious food they prepared for us, meeting new people, and spending time with my family. To fully understand Jewish culture's role in shaping New York City's deli scene, I explored the history and traditions on which these delis were built. As I mentioned earlier, my dad's side of the family is from the Bronx, New York, and as I started exploring this topic, my grandparents started telling me about some of the delis he would visit when he was living and growing up in New York. One of these delis he and his family would often visit was Russ and Daughters, a historical deli located on East Houston Street. They are known for their smoked fish bagels and Jewish appetizers. This deli was founded in 1914 on the Lower East Side and has served customers for around 111 years. It is very well known for being the first deli to include Daughters in its name. Another deli that is also a well-known Jewish deli that my grandfather would talk about is the very famous Katz's Deli. It was founded in 1888 and is the oldest deli in the United States and one of the most famous delis in the world. It is known for its pastrami on rye bread, matzo ball soup, and knishes. Katz's reflects on the profound influence of Jewish culture and heritage, rooted in the Eastern European Jewish immigration traditions. The deli helped preserve Jewish identity through food, community, and helped kosher-style cooking. This deli isn't only famous for its food and iconic appearance in the movie When Harry Met Sally. Katz's has been a cultural landmark for generations. It started as a small family business and symbolized Jewish American food and traditions. Katz's was a place in the community where Jews could gather and celebrate traditions without the fear of anti-Semitism and discrimination.
Jewish delis became a massive part of New York culture and community in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Thousands of Jewish immigrants came to America fleeing from the struggles of poverty in their homelands in Eastern Europe. Many settled in New York City in neighborhoods like the Lower East Side. They brought their customs, language, and love for food and culture to create a resemblance of home. Many opened delis and small eateries and created traditional dishes. They created their dishes according to the kosher laws, honoring their tenets of their home countries while providing what they could of comfort in a new world. These delis became more than just food places. They became community centers where Jews would gather, eat, speak Yiddish, and share stories to continue their identity in a new big city. Eventually, Jewish delis moved beyond Jewish neighborhoods into the more significant New York dining experience, becoming a staple of what it meant to be a New Yorker. Some of these delis still stand today and continue attracting millions of customers who come to New York, seeking an authentic dining experience. Since the 1970s, the number of traditional Jewish delis has declined. However, bagel shops and sandwich delis remain in New York, and even if they're not specifically Jewish, even if the number of delis has decreased, Jewish impact on these delis will continue to shape the city's identity and community. In conclusion, this project has helped me expand my knowledge on Jewish culture and explore more about delis in New York. I am so grateful for everything I have learned about my family during my research. I had family members to talk to about their experiences with many significant New York delis. They shared some of their favorite memories from these delis, their favorite dishes, and their firsthand experiences in these significant delis. I am so thankful for everyone who's helped me throughout this project, like Sydney for giving me ideas, all my teachers who's helped me make corrections to my speech, and my parents who made a commitment and drove me down to Morningside every Sunday morning. Thank you for listening to my speech. I hope you learned something.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here to celebrate Quinn's B Mitzvah. It means the world to us to have our family gathered to witness such a special milestone in Quinn's life. We'd like to thank Sydney and the entire JKG staff for all of their efforts in educating our children and organizing this event over the last 2 years. Quinn, Mom and I are so incredibly proud of you. Becoming a B Mitzvah is no small thing. We committed the last 2 years to deepening your Jewish education and enhancing your connection to Jewish community. Your Jewish experience does not stop today. Today is a new chapter in your life that will involve taking on new responsibilities and challenges, learning who you are, and beginning to understand the type of adult you want to become. Quinn, if we know anything about you, it's that once you set your mind on something, there is no stopping you. You have always been determined and goal-oriented to the point where you push yourself physically and mentally to extremes. You are relentless in fighting for what you want, sticking to your goals, and pushing yourself when things are tough. Whether it's nailing a cheerleading or tumbling routine, mastering your schoolwork, or finishing your B Mitzvah project, you work hard and give it your all.
Quinn has always been my thinking kid, my work on it until it gets figured out kid. Her brother was loud and rambunctious, but Quinn was quiet and purposeful. Quinn was the type that would take the puzzle off the shelf, sit down, and only call for you to show you the finished product. She taught herself to do a one-handed cartwheel because she decided it was time to move on from regular cartwheels. Once she figured out how to do a one-handed cartwheel, she taught herself how to do a no-handed cartwheel, all in my basement. While her brother was off being a tornado, Quinn was a keen observer, figuring it all out behind the scenes. To this day, I tell people not to say anything you don't want repeated within a 6-foot radius of Quinn because she will probably hear you and tell people. Personally, she has faced some setbacks in this past year. At times, there were a lot of tears. There were many times she felt knocked down, but we saw her get up and keep going time and time again. As you become a B Mitzvah today, we want to encourage you to stay on a purposeful path. Remember to be true to yourself and continue to share your gifts and talents with the world around you. Dad and I will always be in your corner, cheering you on.
Okay. We also want to acknowledge one of our B Mitzvah students, CK Piccola, who could not be here today due to an ongoing health issue in her immediate family. Though she couldn't be here, we want to share with her cohort and her kahila the amazing work she did on her personal interest project associated with the mitzvah Bikor Holim, or visiting the sick. She did this work using canine therapy at the Bremen home. I'm going to read a couple excerpts from her speech. To CK, becoming a B Mitzvah meant maturity. It's coming down into your own identity as a Jewish adult through the process of work. She's been able to become kinder, more mature, and to make herself confident and proud of being Jewish. A lot of what she learned throughout this project has been from the stories of the seniors she worked with at the Bremen. Many of them suffered a loss when they moved there, whether that be of pets, loved ones, family, friends. Most of them felt as though they had lost a home when moving. This spoke to her because if she was in their shoes, she would feel similarly. The experience taught her a lot about herself. Hearing elders' stories didn't only teach her about their life, but also about her own and her family's. One specific story that resonated with her was a woman who grew up in the same place as her grandparents, and another person who had a son that worked in the same field as her mother. All the stories were a lot to learn, but also so much to experience. At first, she thought that going to the Bremen home might feel like a chore. But once she was there, she learned that she loved it so deeply. It was fun to spend time with family. The elders felt like family, and they kept her entertained, and it was cool to be able to pass on these stories to the next generation. We want to give a big round of applause to CK for this amazing work. Additionally, we would like to take some time to say Misha Berach for CK's mom, Amy. So her teacher, Maddie, and I are going to sing that a little bit. Please, if you know the words, please feel free to join in. We have slightly different tunes because apparently shuls do things differerly. Love when that happens, right, guys? Okay, so bear with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Thank you all so much. And I just have to take a moment to say that you guys did me so proud. You're all wonderful, and I can't believe I'm watching you become adults. Okay, woo. Now, let's move into our Havdalah ceremony. Havdalah, for those of you who don't have experience or need a refresher, it's a multi-sensory ritual where we use to transition between the extraordinariness of Shabbat and the ordinariness of the rest of the week. We use wine or grape juice in this case to symbolize the joy of this moment, a spice box to wake us up to our new responsibilities, and a multi-wick candle to show how all of the elements of our busy and separate lives come together through ritual. Finally, we bless the act of making transitions from one state of being to another, recognizing that there are many more changes in our life to come. Today, we're going to use Havdalah to represent our passage from childhood to adulthood. Our B Mitzvah students will now lead us in the service, joined by JKG's Chief Innovation Officer, Rachel Dobbs-Schwartz. Please join us in singing as you're able. You'll find the blessings in the program, or just feel free to sing yada-da-da-da. Okay, students, come on up. Teachers, if you would like to join us. Let's get it set up. Okay. Maddie, would you like to pass that out? Yes. Josie's holding the candle. Or no, Ori's holding the candle. Josie, you're holding mine, right? Or grape juice. Okay, yep, that seems. The lighter didn't want to stay in. Okay, I'll do this just like. Okay, we're going to say a prayer for peace. If you know it, please feel free to join in. Ose shalom bimromav, huyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'al kol yoshvei tevei v'imru. Amen. Thank you. Additionally, we want to share a little bit more about a joint mitzvah project our B Mitzvah students embarked on this year with the Daffodil Project. The Daffodil Project works with Holocaust education and the protection of children's rights around the world. Together, our students participated in the Mitzvah Twinning program, which matched them with a child who died during the Holocaust before they could become a bar or bat mitzvah themselves. This mission is just a further reminder of the privilege we have today of celebrating together as a kihila today. The Daffodil Project lovingly refers to these paired students as mitzvah twins. By honoring these students during our ceremony today, we aim to spiritually bring them along into Jewish adulthood. We encourage everyone to learn more about the Mitzvah Twinning Project at our Daffodil Project exhibit that our students helped design. They'll also be lighting candles in memory of their mitzvah twins later today. We're overall just so proud of the amazing work they've done, both with their PIPs, with this, and just with being the amazing next cohort of Jewish leaders. The heavier subject matter of what we just discussed reflects how, in Judaism, it is standard practice to remember our sorrow in the happy moments and to find joy and resilience in our saddest. It also marks one of the first responsibilities our Jewish adults behind me will be taking on into their next phase of life. With that in mind, let's transition to the happiest moment of the day. It's time to recognize each of our students for becoming a bar, bat, or B mitzvah. Before doing so, though, I also want to take time to recognize our entire team of Morim, or Jewish educators, for having such an incredible impact on our students throughout the year. Please give these wonderful people, who also happen to be working hard all around to keep things running smoothly today, a huge round of applause. Okay, now I'm going to ask for the teachers responsible for celebrating and educating this cohort to come up and adorn our students with a communal talis, the ceremonial prayer shawl like you see each of our B Mitzvah students wearing today. As this happens, we will officially have our next generation of Jewish adults before our very eyes. Once we have experienced this moment, we ask that you use all of those noisemakers that you've been using as we've been clapping for everyone so perfectly to do just that, to celebrate all of the simcha or joy in this kehila at this moment. We also have a custom, as many of you may know and have been gesturing up towards me, that we have a custom of throwing candy at our B Mitzvah cohort. This is a way for us to gesture sweet wishes in their future. So when I give the word, feel free to pelt them with it. With that in mind, I'm going to have our students stand up and we'll adorn them in their communal talises. Isa, and Maddie, please come on by. Kiddos, get in front of the podium. Squish in together. the good news is now it's time to celebrate these kiddos, or I should say Jewish adults, even more. And there are many ways to do so. First, please take some time to look at these impressive personal interest projects around the room. Every PIP table has a balloon and honoree's name so you can find their project. You'll also notice some yummy treats, drinks, and yard games outside. We're also going to be able to do our dancing outside and schmoozing. We're also going to have our students go out for a group photo afterwards. Our DJs will call us back to dance together towards the end of today. So with all of that in mind, one other thing, there are challah covers for all of the students. Please feel free to sign them, wish them a mazel tov, and please return your noisemakers to some of our teachers. That's all from me, folks. Thank you so much. Congratulations.